is Ron Oglesby. I am joined today by Andrew Morgan, the man, the myth, the legend. And on Cool Feature of the Week this week, we want to talk about a very specific feature that is very special to Andrew's heart. It's Andrew's baby, if you will, and it's session recording. And Andrew, why don't you tell them what you do here at VMware, and then we'll kind of get into your feature.
Sure. Andrew Morgan here. Been with VMware 4 years now. I got the letter or the picture to prove it a couple of weeks ago, which is cool. Before VMware, I was a VDI and remote desktop services consultant. Now in VMware, I kind of did a little bit of everything. More likely in the last 18 months, I've fallen into a much stronger developer role. So that's kind of where I am and who I am. That's me. I work in the EUC Octo team with yourself, Ron. And if I'm not developing something, I'm working on a new feature or some kind of prototyping for some kind of feature that the customer requires. So I'm in the thick of the weeds.
You are. There's so many of us that fell out of the consulting world into the software side. You know, even watching VMworld, Dan Beveridge and so many guys that are now running and directing projects here at VMware. They used to be working with customers every day. So it's very interesting, but let's drill into your feature. That's what this is all about. It's your feature. And I know it started as a Fling, but what really, you've owned this. What really drove you to make this and spend the last year and a half or however long it's been dedicated to this?
Yeah. So it's kind of a long story. Back in 2018, when I was over in Palo Alto, I met with a dear friend of mine, Kieran Rao, who's since moved on. But he was kind of the overarching PM of the Horizon team at the time, and he mentioned this new API that they're building for session recording, and they're hoping to integrate it with third parties. And I was like, well, why just third parties? Why can't I play with this, right?
Yeah.
So he hooked me up with the team, and I like to say I've improved since then, but I asked some pretty stupid questions, and they gave me some pretty stupid answers, and I kind of dug away at it, and I wrote a Fling for a session recording. And I've written a couple of Flings. Some have been extremely popular, some have not been so popular. And session recording would have kind of sat in the middle of the road there, right? I mean, it was an interesting Fling for me because I'd never written a web application before. I'd never written a web API before. I'd never done anything in that space before, and I learned a lot of lessons along the way. And it was great because, learning new things, customers dug it. They got Flings are not supported in production, but they used them, right? So it was kind of cool. And and it sat there in Flings until COVID hit. And then suddenly corporate America decided session recording was a lot more important than it was.
Interesting.
So, I got a very panicked phone call from Kieran and said, can we make this a feature? And I said, yeah, sure, give me 2 weeks. And I just remember Sean Bass's face on the meeting going, Andrew, why did you say 2 weeks? But anyway, it was done in 2 weeks. I didn't sleep very much for those 2 weeks, but I rewrote the entire Fling. We're using VMware standards for logging, using Angular for the front end, which is a VMware standard. Basically productizing it, not just making it something that I threw together with chewing gum and best attention.
That's an interesting thing, though, that they were starting with the concept of just making an available API for partners, essentially, to do some type of recording or hook into the session. And you were like, well, why don't we just record it?
Yeah,
you were like, why don't Andrew, just record it? I can record it.
If you know my background before VMware, you know that I was the engineer who had a programming book on his table. It used to always drive me mental when software companies have these features buried in an API somewhere that people can't play with. And I'd often find it and I go, I could do something with this. And I'd go off and I'd create something for that. And that's kind of where it was driven from. I wanted to do something.
It was a customer focus and a kind of a customer need.
Yeah.
Especially with COVID. Oh no, now it's important, but it was definitely a customer need. You saw the demand when you did the Fling, but really the demand ramped once everybody was remote, and it was a way to solve a problem. It was a way
Oh,
to sell.
absolutely. I mean, I've been doing a lot of work in in that space internally in VMware from an R&D point of view around uh, auditability and the ability to kind of watch bad actors. And session recording just kept coming up over and over again among other solutions. The other one was that instant clone PowerShell thing I wrote recently. So yeah, a lot of work in that space. And session recording isn't the replacement for that, and that isn't the replacement for recording. So it fits really nicely in that bracket where
they
you're
have
not
different
sure
use
what's
cases.
exactly,
Different
but
use cases.
it gives a great level of visibility to the administrator, even just from a troubleshooting point of view. Even if this isn't a case where the administrator really wants to know what the user was doing, even if they just want to troubleshoot a problem, the way that recording has been built, you can record on demand. So they can record.
To me, the troubleshooting aspect of it, and don't get me wrong, I understand in financial companies, insurance companies, things that are regulated, they have different requirements for auditing purposes and whatnot. But being an old admin geek and thinking about the types of things you're trying to troubleshoot that you can't replicate in your own session or in a lab or anywhere else, the ability to record for troubleshooting purposes, to see the actual steps the user takes to get to that point and to see the failure, that in and of itself, it removes that whole game of telephone that you get into when you're doing a support call as an admin or as a help desk or whatever.
Yeah, no, I entirely agree with you. There are so many value add pieces that seeing what the user saw gives you, because you're immediately on the front foot as opposed to on the back foot trying to reproduce an issue. So no, it's been great. I mean, it's been a hell of an experience going from self-taught developer to writing a product for a prestigious company like VMware. Like I don't even want to go into.
And the funny thing is when we say, oftentimes in software companies and even in small software companies, I've been in startups where I'll say, oh, this is the person that wrote X. Yeah, they wrote X, but they were part of this Scrum group. They had all these other things. In this case, Andrew actually wrote X. End
to end. Andrew localized to X. Andrew wrote the PowerShell module for X, the installer, the MSI. I learned how to use Wix. It was wonderful.
So from a customer perspective, I mean, give us just a little bit on, okay, what's it actually doing? How's it work? Right? What does a customer need to know before they kind of, all right, session recording sounds awesome. I want to go use this.
So at the moment, it's on-prem only, and it's VDI only right now. So that means no RDSH. RDSH is coming in the next release, assuming we don't hit any other major issues. But testing has gone really, really well so far.
Just having to make it work.
That's not a commitment.
No,
that just means it should come.
But from a technical standpoint, you're having to get it to work in a multi-session environment versus a simple Win 10 environment or something.
Correct. Yeah. So I mean, you can any Windows 10 video or virtual desktop, you can record, be it instant clones, be it manual pulls, be it persistent desktops, so long as you're using Horizon 7, 12 or later, although officially supported 8.3 or later, recording will work. And from an installation point of view, you install the agent on the golden image for the desktop pool or the machine you want to record. The server itself is it's a container, but I didn't want to give Windows administrators containers because Windows administrators don't know what to do with containers, and that's okay.
Oftentimes,
you got to play to your strengths. Right. Yeah. So what I did was I took that container, put it in an MSI, and made it a Windows service. So from a web server point of view, they stand it up. There's a web front end. There's an API backend that the agent talks to, and then you configure some settings, and with the agent will spring into life. Now, it can either record sessions automatically, or you can do it with the PowerShell module. And that PowerShell module is obviously very handy for if you're using DEM. So you can even use them as a decision point to record a session based
to initiate the recording. Oh, that's
exactly
very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. It'd be interesting to see if in the future this becomes part of our normal, view agent package, etc., versus an add-on. But with every new product, you have to start somewhere, and this is one way to do it.
That's entirely it. Having it as a separate component was just easier for me,
Yeah.
and it was easier for the development team. Will it get assimilated? Probably. In the next 1 or 2 releases, probably not. So, but the MSIs are tiny. Like the server is 60 megs. The agent itself is 10 megs. So like the download is, while it's inconvenient to click 2 additional links, it's not going to add any additional overhead to what they're doing. So yeah, once you've installed the agent and the server, you're away. It supports 2 models as well. You can do like a proof of concept where you have a single server with local disk storage and local database, and it'll just start recording. Or as you start to scale up, it'll support load balancers, it'll support Microsoft SQL, it'll support PostgreSQL, and it'll support local database as well. So
all from a self-taught developer.
The database abstraction layer was fun.
I'll bet it was. I'll bet it was, man.
So that's really it. I mean, from a scale out point of view, all you have to do is put a load balancer in front of them, make sure they're using the same database, and make sure they're using the same backend storage to store the recordings. So that's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
this is awesome. Can we see a little bit? Can we just see
of course.
like a little front end or something? Show people why I think this is awesome.
Let's do that. Okay. So you are probably now seeing my screen. And when you first install the server, this is what you're going to get hit with. You're going to get hit with the logon. This is what I've been doing most release, or localizing it. So now it supports loads of different languages. Once you hit the session recording screen, you go ahead and log in with the default credentials, and you hit the server. There are some configuration options in here they can do in regards to what message they want them to display, whether to record internal or external sessions or groups of users that they wish to record. So if you want to put the recording agent out to all of your pools, but only record specific subset of users, you can do that. In regards to server settings, it's just your database configuration and your file share you're going to store the recordings on. And after that, away it goes. You get a very simple dashboard here to do what server you're currently connected to, the database type, the location of the storage, and how many recordings that it's currently hosting. So as you can see here, this is my lab, so it's only really me in here on my own, working in my silo. And from here, you can go ahead and drill into the recording, and you get some information about the recording itself. So who it was, what machine they came from, what their internal or external IP was, the start time of the session, the end time, and how many recordings we have. Now, you may have more than one recording if you resize the session, because every time a recording happens, it creates an MP4 file. And if the size of the session changes, then the aspect of the MP4 video changes as well, obviously. So, you may see more than one recording for a single session, or if you have multiple screens, each screen is a recording. So that's the way it all matches up. From here, you can go ahead and you can lock it if you don't want it to be automatically deleted. You can play it back, as you saw there. Message and off you go, or you can download it and use it from there. It's awesome. It's very, very simple. It's very light touch at the moment. This is going to be at the core area of focus for the next couple of releases. It's fine to give an administrator a 5-hour video that they have to sit down and watch, but what's actually happening in that video? And that's what I'm going to be really focusing on for the next couple of releases, to give them a bird's eye view of where the activity is, what the user was doing, what the user was using, so that you'll be able to click through to the interesting pieces of the recording. But for now, that's where it is with AudioSH support and VDI.
This thing is very cool, and I hadn't seen your web interface for this. And
so this is all VMware Clarity. It's an open source framework that VMware supports for Angular or for other web frameworks as well. So building on it is actually really, really easy. All of these are stock functionality VMware gives away for free to the community. So anybody can use these libraries for free, which helped immensely. The only other thing to point out as well is everything is audited, because of course you'd want that, right? Because this is users' live data. So anybody who watches a recording, downloads a recording, deletes the recording, anything is audited, and this audit trail cannot be affected by any of the administrators without direct database access. So it just gives them the peace of mind to know that if anybody is looking around or doing anything, it's all auditable.
This is awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, from it does support a PowerShell module. So you see here, I have here's one I prepared earlier, little VDI session running, and at the moment it's not recording. I can do a get-hr session, and it'll list all the sessions running on this machine. So there is my session, and it's not recording, and I can just pipe that into a start-hr session recording.
That's nice.
And off it goes. It's now recording.
The PowerShell piece is nice, because then you can do all types of, you can hook this into all types of other stuff.
Exactly, and the PowerShell module even supports remote, so you don't even have to be logged into the server, so or the VDI or whatever else. But as you can see, since I've started it now, there's now an active session. Now, what will happen is every 5 minutes or every 5 megs of data, this recording will be updated as time goes by. You can configure those values yourself, but it just means that if the session crashes, you have the peace of mind that the last 5 megs of data might have been lost, or the last 5 minutes of data might have been lost, but you will have up to then
everything up to that will be. That's
correct.
Awesome. That's
so
great.
if I go ahead and resize this session now, you'll see that it'll start a new one. So that's stopped. And if we refresh over here, you'll see we now have a finished recording that we're going to convert into a playable recording, and a new one has started. And that should take 10 seconds. And there we go. Happy days. So it's that fast.
Yeah, that it is. It's very fast. I can't wait to see this, kind of large scale out in some customers, because like any feature we ever come up with, especially something like this that's got some flexibility to it, it's got PowerShell access. Customers will find interesting ways to use it and find use cases for it that we might not even think of. We're like, oh, troubleshooting or maybe compliance. They'll come up with something that we haven't even thought of, and it'll just be that much cooler. It could then be fed back into you guys to update the product, to even add what they're doing maybe as a part of the feature. This is why I dig software, man. This is why I dig software.
Yeah, so it's basically a 1.1 release now with RDSH, but the actual ability to analyze the recordings is where we're going to go next. But the API was very close to my heart, and so I really wanted to make sure the PowerShell module was strong, so you can do all of the things that just frustrate you in normal products, like testing the backend communication, making sure the certificates are trusted, all PowerShellable, so you can troubleshoot it easily. And even the session information that you get from Horizon recording is you can't get that information from anywhere else in the VMware product from PowerShell. Do you get me? So I've exposed a whole load of information that the normal Horizon client or agent doesn't actually expose. So it can even just be used as a troubleshooting process if you don't want to record anything, but you want to get information about the user sessions you have on your machine. So it's I'm just thinking of me as an administrator a couple of years ago and what I would have liked.
Well, this is a great feature. I'm glad you took some time. I know that you've been swamped writing this, and then of course VMworld and all the other stuff. Can't wait to get this out and put this out to the folks and let people start playing with it and get some feedback. And any last words or anything? I really appreciate it. I know it's evening there. I appreciate you taking your time. Any last words for the people that are going to consume this?
No, not at all. Have fun and let me know if anything's broken. We can, or if you have any clever ideas for features or anything like that, just the usual VMware process. Unfortunately, I can't take requests from the Fling site anymore because I actually have a proper product manager now who won't be very happy if I onboard features that I haven't approved. But yeah, no, please do let me know. And if you enjoy it, great.
Great. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Andrew. And that is Ron's cool feature of the week, session recording. Check it out.